ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is first 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. First of 12 ounces. And boy, crazy how fast this season's flown by. We only got 3 games left in the season. It's nuts, and things are up in the air for so many teams of what's going to happen, what can happen, what can't happen. But hey, let's start off with one that kind of set the tone of the day. I was at the Texas basketball game, so I'll let you kind of touch on it, but I'll give out the score. Indiana 27, Penn State 24. Whoa. What a
Incredible
fucking
game.
doozy. Yeah, what a doozy. I got a text at the game. All it said from my nephew was, holy shit, the Penn State game. Check the highlights. And then
Yeah, what a game.
I said something to you were like, bro, there's so much you need to see. But I'll let you take it away. What did you think about this incredible game?
Well, first off, Indiana was dead in the water. They let Penn State get all the way back in it. Nick Singleton had a, 70-yard run to the goal line. Penn State takes the lead. Indiana's offense was putrid all day. And then Mendoza just had a Heisman drive. And the thing on the drive is he missed the first throw to the guy who ended up catching the game winner. He had him wide open earlier in the drive, and when he missed that one, that's the one where you're like, that's the nail. That's it. You missed your moment. He threw a ball to about the 5-yard line that got him in position for the 3rd and goal throw to the tight end that was equally as impressive as a catch, in my opinion. The tight end goes up, toe taps down, contested catch. But the play of the year, maybe, is the catch the wide receiver made. It's one of the best catches I've ever seen, considering the moment. There's 30 seconds left. Shout out to Replay Boost. Shout out the referee on the field who got it right in the moment. Because I thought watching it live that it was incomplete. And unbelievable. Now, Indiana, Signetti about shit down his leg. They squib kicked it after. But the talk of the town is this catch. I mean, it's the best catch. It's one of the best catches I've ever seen. I don't know. I've seen a lot of good catches, but that one's up there in the top 3 probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that stood out to me is, like you said, the referee calling it a catch on the field. In a year of referees being scrutinized for missed calls, this referee was like, nope, that was a fucking catch. That was a catch all the way. And then when he brought it to the replay, he was like, holy shit, this ref got some eyes, because yeah, that's a catch. And how he got that foot in, I must have watched that replay 5 million times. And then I went back, because you told me, you were like, no, go look at the catch before it. You said the catch before it is just as good. And I mean, Indiana's just got some ballerinas over there. They're getting their toes down when they got to, and it's like, holy shit, here we
Yeah,
go.
they plays, dude. It was unreal, the plays they made. I think this Indiana team is for real. I mean, to be dead in the water there and then to have the drive to go the entire length of the field when they had to have it. Mendoza, he's a weirdo, but man, he's got moxie. But
It was like 36 seconds left in the game, wasn't it? It was like a 36-second drive that he went down, or maybe a little bit more than that.
they scored the touchdown with 36. I think he had a
That's
minute
what it was.
40. I think he had a minute 40. But dude, he made 2 or 3 throws outside of that throw that were nails. Just on the money, contested throws where he just was great. And he was bad the whole game. And then he just showed up. It was like he was Bo Nix. Like he just showed up at the end. But shout out Indiana. I mean, that team's really damn good. I don't see how they don't get to the Big Ten title. I don't see how they don't make the playoff. That they're super impressive. What a way to start the day off. Because I personally started the day with Georgia, Mississippi State, which was a debacle. Mississippi State went down the field on the first drive, scored quick, and then did nothing else the rest of the game.
Yeah, I was talking to our buddy Mike Harge from local media radio here in Austin at the game for a little bit, and I got the text when I was talking to him that you saying, "Uh-oh, Mississippi State's moving the ball kind of easy," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and then I looked up and I was like, "Well, that was the only thing they did good all all game, because Georgia just poured it on after that."
They marched down the field the first drive, and I was like, man, this Mississippi State team is pretty damn good. And then Georgia just put it on them, and it just night from that moment. But well, I mean, so I thought the morning slot was going to suck, and then Indiana really pulled it out for me. It made an incredible morning slot. But I guess we could talk about, speaking of Heisman guys, I think is Jeremiah Love sneaking in to being the favorite here. Like without, I mean, these years that ends in 5 always have running backs, and this guy's putting together. He's just stacking big performances and big highlights.
Dude, the play that he scored off of when he was on a defender, spun off. The defender's on the ground. He spins off a defender, gets up, and then just houses it. The kid he's a running back, and I said it a few weeks ago on the pod. I'll say it again here now. He's a running back that all of us wish, or we have decent running backs at our universities. I'm a big Wisner guy, but man, Jeremiah Love is just a difference maker. He has, like I said, and I know Bo's not here to defend it, but I'm like, I feel like Jeremiah Love's kind of the only thing on that team that keeps them afloat, because the dude is just putting up numbers and just does shit that no one else is doing currently as a running back in college football. And yeah, I think he has to be up there, but honestly, I don't know. It seems like a heavy quarterback Heisman race yet again.
Yeah, I don't know how heavy in quarterback it should be, though. I think we're heavy in quarterback because nobody's grabbed the bull by the horns, right? Like, Love's putting together great performances. His highlights are great. And he had a great game against Navy. They won, 49-10? But
Yeah.
he also only had 94 yards rushing, which
Yeah.
I say only 94. When you're trying to win a Heisman, you got to have these 170, 200-yard games, especially towards the end. 94 is a great game. I think his longest carry was 48 yards. He had a couple tuds. But I don't know if he's putting together the counting stats that are going to get him there. And look, these quarterbacks are good. Sayan's unbelievably efficient. Julian Sayan at Ohio State's completing, feels like 98% of his passes. Mendoza's been nails. I think this thing comes down to Mendoza, Simpson, and Sayan. But if I had a vote, I might vote Love. Because like you mentioned, we'd love to have him at our schools. Yeah, I think all three of us would, all three of us that don't have him would love to have him. And I don't think that's a knock on our running backs. Like, I like Harlan Berry. You like
Yeah.
Weiser. We know Cole likes Jam Miller. I think all of us would like to have the best running back in the country on our team, though.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's what's getting overlooked more than anything else, is because everyone's focused on the quarterback numbers and everything else, and silently Jeremiah Love's just kind of doing his thing. What would also help is if Notre Dame didn't have those losses, everyone would be talking about Jeremiah Love. Everyone.
if they'd just won one
One
of
of
them,
those
if
games.
they'd have beat
Yeah,
A&M, that he would be a top 4 candidate, right? But again, they got the 2 losses, and it was their 2 notable games. And after that, nobody's really watched them. That's
yeah,
the thing with Notre Dame, is like they get on the stage 2 or 3 times a year, and outside of that, they're kind of like a G5 team. You just don't watch them.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We can go ahead and get on to the big one that happened this past weekend. And man, our prelude to the kickoff of this game, we had a time on live. We had fun. We were discussing ways LSU could win, ways LSU could lose, how Bama looks so dominant, and how it's going to be in a game. Ended 20-9, and honestly, a one possession game in the second half at certain points, and then it just kind of it never felt that way. It never felt that it was a one possession game. But this is your team, so I'll let you give your take on it, and then I'll jump in when I can.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about keys to victory, and it was play aggressive on defense. It was play methodical on offense. It was stay on schedule on offense. The game started out for LSU as good as it could have started. The first drive, they get basically an immediate fourth down stop, so you get a turnover on downs immediately. LSU comes out and moves the ball essentially immediately. Now LSU, it looks like the offense is moving. You get a 16-yard completion, you get a 9-yard completion. Then LSU gets into the red zone, and it starts to unravel, as it has all year. Nuss calls another timeout. I think the frustrating part with the timeout he called the timeout with 12 seconds left on the play clock. So he had plenty of time to make a decision, do what he wants. Like, doesn't matter. They call a timeout. They come out of the timeout and get a delay of game. Well, I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how that happens. They get pushed back. No yard gain. Nuss runs out of bounds. Kick a field goal. We shank the field goal. And immediately the pit in your stomach goes, That's not how you're gonna. And I'm sitting here and I tell my wife who's watching with me, I go, I'm gonna start keeping a tally tonight of losing plays, and whoever has the least amount of losing plays in this game is that's gonna be the team that wins. So so that was 1-0. LSU then does a great job and goes get a 3-and-out the next drive, or a 4-and-out. They could give up 1 first down and they get boom, punt the ball. They get pushed back, boom, fumble. LSU fumbles the ball on a terrific, one of the better plays we've called all year. Bauer Sharp's wide open, but fumble. It's 2-0 losing plays. You already feel like not ideal. I thought the LSU defense played fantastic in the game. Outside of the end of the half drive where P.J. Woodland got beat over the top, I thought they played fantastic. If you'd have told me going into the game, it would be Bama would have 17 points with 5 minutes left in the game, I'd have told you we had a real shot to win it. Even you get the turnover where they're I mean, it looks like it's like, okay, here we go. LSU gave -2 yards on that drive. They kick a field goal, 3-0. LSU goes down and ties it. I think the ultimate thing that happens here is Nussmeier played really bad to a point that's mind-boggling. And I'll touch on Alabama a little bit, but I'm going to get into the Nussmeier thing real quick. The game gets to 10-3. LSU won the toss for the first time this year. So I mean, that's a crazy thing. They won the toss for the first time this year. So LSU's in a position to do what everybody wants to do. You steal the possession. You got a chance right there at the end of the half to either go down and kick a field goal, score a touchdown. Worst case scenario, you run the clock to 0 essentially, and you get to halftime at a 7-point game, and you come out and go tie it up. There's a 1:26 left, third down. LSU calls a pass play, which could be a question mark there. I don't hate the call. I kind of like it. You're already in a position where you got nothing to lose. Xavier Thomas runs a dig route on the left side, and he's wide open, and Nuss stares at him and doesn't throw it. Nuss ends up throwing the ball away and stops the clock. He made 2 horrific decisions in one play. Bama has 0 timeouts at this time. It's about a 1:20 left in the half. He either can throw it to Xavier Thomas and get the first down, which essentially eliminates any possibility that Bama gets the ball back. It basically eliminates it at 100%. They just don't. If they get the ball, it's like, what, a second or two. Once you don't throw it, you got to take the sack. You can't throw the ball into the dirt and stop the clock. He stops the clock. Bama gets the ball back with about a minute. They go down and score in 35 seconds. And all of a sudden, it feels it's 17-3 at half, and it's like, this is a mountain. You come out of the half. Nuss actually looked pretty good out of the half. He made 2 or 3 throws that were big-time throws. But then ultimately, you get back in the red zone, and he unraveled again. He almost threw a pick to Bray Hubbard, which gets overlooked because he didn't pick it, but he threw it to his hands. And then Nuss takes the worst sack I've ever seen a quarterback take in my adult life, or into my teenage life, into football games I can remember watching. And if you haven't seen it, which I think everybody's seen it that's going to watch it, but he turned around and sprinted to the other end zone and then turned and ran to a defender. Bama brought a 3-man rush, and if you watch the end zone copy, he had a wide open guy in the end zone if he just steps up. If he just steps up into the pocket, he can underhand it to the end zone. He ultimately gets pulled. And look, it's a disaster. It's a nightmare on Twitter right now of people defending Nuss and Van Buren. I thought, you watched the game, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Van Buren looked significantly better. I thought he looked more conviction. I thought maybe his skill set arm-wise is not as high level, but he played with more confidence. But I want to give credit to Alabama's defense. I thought they played really good. 42, Yanzi Pierre, I think that's how you say his first name, was fantastic. When I got home from work, there was a flag in front of my front door. 57, LSU's left tackle, false started again before I got home from work. I mean, he had a billion false starts. It was unbelievable. I mean, it just felt like LSU would run for 3 yards, false start. Unbelievable. But Alabama was awesome. I thought LSU came with intensity and played hard. I thought the defense matched them. I think it was one of Ty's most flustered game outside of the Florida State game. I thought we had Ty at times confused. But he made the plays when he had to make them. LSU on offense, Nussmeier was completely outmatched. And then the offensive line it's a real problem. Now, again, we had a lot of drops. I think we had 5 or 6 drops. I know we had 2 critical drops with Van Buren in the game. Trey Green had one where he could have ran for 30 yards, and he threw 2 first downs to Kyle Parker that got dropped. So ultimately, it's a sickening loss. It makes you wonder how much the intensity can stay up after that, because I thought they brought it. But Alabama's really fucking good. LSU's defense is really fucking good. Nuss is a bad quarterback. And look, hand up, I was wrong. A lot of people were wrong. Most of the LSU fan base was wrong. And we talked about this in text message, so we can get into it. When Nuss played his first game in 21, Nuss's mantra back then, or kind of his MO, was he would let it fly. It was the Jameis Winston thing, where he would just, like, one thing about Nuss, he gets to the back foot, it's coming out. That's regressed constantly from his first time playing to that SEC championship where he ripped a couple balls that were great. Last year, it got a little bit worse as the year progressed. He starts dancing in the pocket. He back pedals. And this year, the term gunslinger got thrown around. It just is not the case. He's just not a gunslinger. There's no evidence to back up that he would be. He's averaging like 6 yards an attempt, which is like 100th in the country.
Yeah. Here's my question for you. Do you think that the coaching change affected his game plan, like the way he plays ball and going into this game? Did that affect anything else? I know. Hey, we both did. I mean, you said it. Bama's defense played outstanding. They had 3 sacks. They were 5. They kept LSU to 5 to 15 on third downs. 4 red zone attempts with 0 touchdowns. So yeah, they played outstanding. But do you think that something changed as play calling wise that took him out of it, or do you just think he just never had it?
For the Bama game specifically, I actually thought the play calling was better. But for the totality of the year, I think it's a combo of like play calling that messed up and I do think at some point he was injured, right? Like I still kind of lean on that. I do think that played a factor, which messed up his mental side. But ultimately, like, the red flags were here all along. Like, just I and most of LSU's fan base kind of ignored it and looked at it through, purple colored lenses and an optimistic view. Like, I heard all offseason, and I've heard it to this day, that he didn't put in effort. Like, the work was not there. Like, he's not using the VR headset. And I know for a fact that Michael Van Buren is. I have photo evidence on my phone right here of Michael Van Buren using the VR in the facility. I had and everything I'm being told is that Nuss is not using it. There was also a podcast that took place, Gordon McKernan's podcast, who's big LSU NIL guy, Baton Rouge attorney, had Nuss on a podcast, and this was one where, like, I'd heard it, and this kind of went, like, don't love hearing it, but you brush it off. They asked Nuss about, like, what time you get to the facility and about Jaden Daniels, and he's like, I don't need to get there that early. I wake up about 9 o'clock and then head to the facility after that. So you guys assume he gets to the facility by 10 o'clock? That's late. And then they were like, well, what did you learn from Jaden Daniels? So, like, Jaden Daniels, like, to remember, had, like, an all-time great college football season. Like, won the Heisman Trophy and had, like, a statistical, like, anomaly season. Like, is why he won it with 3 losses. Like, he was fantastic. And he replied, like, I didn't learn a lot from Jaden. I learned most of my stuff from Miles Brennan. Miles Brennan quit. Jaden Daniels retired Miles Brennan. Jaden Daniels beat out Nuss that first year.
And won a
And
Heisman.
you didn't learn from him. So it's like the signs have been here. And again, I think he rested on his laurels. Like, I think it was like, everybody's saying I got this big arm. I'm an anticipation thrower. Anticipation thrower is code word for you can't read defenses. Because I'm convinced he can't read defenses. I've watched it too much this year. And I think he just was like, I'm going to show up and get better. Like, that's what happens. Like, I had a good year. I'm going to have a great year now. And he didn't put the effort in, and it's showing up. You're looking at a guy. It's kind of like Brian Kelly. It's like watching a guy who's just accepting his paycheck. And the biggest frustration I get with LSU fans right now, and again, there's 2 sides of this aisle. I'm on the Michael Van Buren side. I've already seen enough of Nuss. Like, I just want to move on. He's given everything to LSU. Nuss is given everything. I'm going to push back on that. He hasn't given everything to LSU. He's been here for a long time, but like he also is not here on a charity case. He made like $500,000-$600,000 last year, and he's making seven figures this year. He's getting paid handsomely to be bad. He didn't forego money. This isn't 2018 where a guy would go, yeah, I'm not going to take. I'm going to. He's getting paid $1 million something to be the quarterback at LSU.
And if we're being honest,
Effort in, you're not giving everything to the program, so I don't
yeah,
agree with that.
and if we're being honest, for everyone saying, "Oh, if he would have entered, he would have got paid." No, he probably wouldn't have. He probably would have been a late round draft pick around the position that Quinn got taken. And that's just facts. I think that's what would have happened. Shout out to my good buddy who was captain at the fire department that I worked with in Louisiana. He said it. He said it as soon as Nuss got benched. He goes, "I'm ordering my jersey." He goes, "If this dude don't start for the rest of the year, I'm gonna be pissed because this dude is it." Talking about Van Buren. The cat that I'm talking about is one of my good friends, Josh Van Buren. He goes, "I'm claiming him as my cousin if he wins this game. I'm gonna claim that's my cousin if he wins this game." But like you said, when he got in the game, he was slinging that ball to the point where it was like he looked like he was throwing a ball too hard to the receivers to where they couldn't catch it because it was so good. But he was looking to make plays always, and
That's
his eyes were always on a swivel. He wasn't sitting. If it wasn't there, he would try to pull it and gain yards, or he would throw it away. Like he was looking like he was trying to make the plays to win the game. When Nuss was in there, it was kind of like he was going through the motions. Like you said, the three rush sack that he
it,
that he bootlegged into. If he steps into that pocket, he's got all day, literally all day. And like you said, he had a wide receiver wide open if he steps in. He takes the longest reverse bootleg directly into a defender that was just horrific. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I don't get it. And then the other thing that kind of stood out to me is, and we said it to start the year and everything else. LSU had all the pieces. They got a shit ton of pieces from the portal. It just looked like the coaching staff could never put it together. Both the original coaching staff and this new coaching staff. If you have all these pieces to do something, you need to do it. The other thing that stood out to this game in me, and it's not only a fault on LSU, but a fault on Bama as well, is the lack of a running game. Both teams didn't crack 60 yards in rushing. LSU led with 59 yards rushing. Bama had 56. In what world do we ever see that happen in this game?
yeah. The shocking thing is LSU had way more success running the football than Bama. I think LSU's leading rusher was Harlem Berry, and he had 66 yards on 12 carries. Obviously, the sack numbers adjusted down to 59 because Nuss took a bunch of bad ones. But I think Bama's leading rusher was Jam Miller, and I think he had 21 yards. Like
That's
both
that's
teams the ball, which was like you said, it's shocking, right? I grew up watching this game. Like it was shocking. I mean, this is a matchup that's had like NFL running backs in it for like the last 25 years. There's been like 17 matchups with two NFL backs in it between Derrick Henry and Fournette, or like Clyde Edwards-Helaire and like that. Like you've had like a bunch of NFL backs, and for both though, this was my one take I would say about Alabama going forward, and we can talk about them in a minute when we get to the preview of the OU game. But their O line didn't blow me away.
not at all.
It didn't blow me away, and I think they're better than LSU's O line, but it didn't blow me away. They seem very inconsistent, but we can talk about that in a minute. I mean, we can get if you want to get into this LSU debacle with the Brian Kelly stuff, and because
Let's do
obviously,
that, but yeah, we'll get into that. But before we do, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of slack from Cole by saying this, but 29, I mean 20 to 9, it felt like the game could have been 35-9, and
it
it just and not saying not I'm not taking away from Bama. So Cole, I know Cole's going to watch this and he's going to jump my ass in the group chat, and when he calls me, he's going to try to jump my ass, but. Simpson, as great as he looked, he missed a couple big throws that could have put this game away way heavier than anything else. And to be a national champion, you got to make those throws and you got to establish a running game. And it not saying that Texas is any better. They're not whatsoever. Bama is 14th in the SEC. Texas is 12th. But it's like you have to establish that to keep moving forward. And then you can't have missed passes like Nuss has, because eventually it's going to catch up with you. You're going to meet a defense that's going to kind of check you on some of these plays. And I know he hates them, but Auburn kind of has a good defense. Auburn's been playing people tough on
Yeah,
defense. They have one of the top end defenses in the nation.
I thought LSU's defense played awesome, right? The game, it was 20-9, and there was definitely plays that could have been made by Ty. But I give a lot of credit to LSU's defense, right? Like, that game was 17-6, and LSU forced a turnover to get it back to a one-possession game. Like, LSU made plays on defense when they had to. They got stops when they had to. They forced pressure in his face a couple times that made him throw some errant throws. I give a lot of credit to LSU's defense and how they played. But again, I thought Ty still made plays when you had to make them. But
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. Absolutely.
that was a really good. This LSU defense, it's a weird defense to look at. This LSU defense is a top 10 group against non-running quarterbacks, which I had mentioned in the pregame to you, that I actually felt good about LSU's matchup because Ty's not a runner. He's athletic, but he wasn't a runner. This LSU defense struggles against running quarterbacks. Pocket passers, they're pretty elite because LSU secondary is really good. So they can play man coverage and they can get after the quarterback a little bit. And they defend the run pretty well against running backs. It's the running quarterback that creates the problems. I thought they played really good. I mean, Bama couldn't run the ball. That just wasn't a thing they could do.
Yeah.
And I got him a couple times on some elite throws, but LSU also got him a couple times, right? You got the strip sack. You got the turnover on downs. You got him a lot of times. I talked about in the pregame. LSU got him a lot of third and long, a lot of 3rd and 8 plus. LSU forced that a lot of times, which I thought was a key to victory. So I thought the LSU defense did exactly what they had to do to win the game. But I agree. I thought that Bama O-line to me is the one where I go, I guess I had a false reaction. I thought they were a lot better than I thought they were a borderline elite group, and now I think they're just a good group.
I got you. Before we jump on the Brian Kelly thing, what is up with Weeks? Like, what is up with Weeks? What is his injury? I don't even know what his injury is. He's been out for what, 2 or 3 weeks now? Like, what is it?
So apparently LSU's kind of slow playing this thing. From my understanding, it's a deep bone bruise in his ankle, and it's the lateral movement that he's having issues with. He's good north and south. When he gets lateral, I guess it's hampering his ability to do that to a point where they don't feel he needs to be playing. I don't know if there's a risk of further damage or not, but I do know that right now it's the lateral movements he basically can't do. It's a detriment to his game to a point where it's better if he's not on the field.
Gotcha. All right, now let's get into the soap opera that is LSU's coaching search. I mean, I'm just at a loss for words at this time. Like, I don't know what's going on. I think I don't know. You could view it in 18 million different ways and probably be right or probably be wrong. From the get go, I said it from the start. I said it on Twitter. I said it to you. We got people unfollow the pod for my comments on it, saying that LSU doesn't have the financial backing and this and that and da 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 da. And now we're into where it's lawsuits to be paid, so someone gets their payout, and it's
So I know a little bit more about it than I wish I did. I wish I just could not see this shit and I didn't have to fucking deal with it. But so essentially, backtrack to the day he got fired. What ultimately took place is Scott Woodward made a decision that he technically didn't have the authority to make. Firings for head coaches have to be approved by the board of supervisors or the president. At the time he was fired, there was no president. LSU had not hired a president yet, and he had not approved it with the board of supervisors. He made a decision and offered settlements they did not have the authority to do, which is pretty common. Most universities, you have to go through board of supervisors. You have to go through some other channels. The athletic director usually heads the decisions, tells the board of directors this is what we need to do. They sign off on it, and they go. Woodward kind of acted without doing any of the technicality process. That got LSU in the initial weird one where Kelly was he offered settlement deals. The board of supervisors like, you can't do that. We have to look at things. We have to decide what's the best plan of action. They ultimately did fire him, and that was ultimately going to happen regardless. But that started this whole disaster where Kelly and his legal team were going to deal. They were going to negotiate it. They fired Scott. LSU fired Scott Woodward. So LSU now, the guy who made the decision is no longer on staff. So it's the board of supervisors dealing with, and his name is John Carmouche and Verge Osbury are kind of the people heading this conversations up. Kelly's legal team, basically what this lawsuit is about, is LSU rumored that there was going to be a 4-cause termination, which is why there was going to be the negotiated buyout. Kelly basically said, there is no cause. The lawsuit came because Kelly's legal staff said, we want in writing that you're going to do it without cause. LSU said, no, we still think there is cause. That's what the lawsuit is. From everything I'm hearing, LSU is going to slow play this. LSU has no desire to speed it up because LSU is currently just paying him monthly. They're just giving him his monthly check as they would normally. That's not going to change. From my understanding, the LSU brass is trying to figure out why Kelly's trying to speed this up so much, because I guess it's not uncommon for these negotiations to take place for 6-7 months. So they're going to slow play it and figure it out. I don't know what ultimately happens. I think LSU's trying to call negotiation tactics, and I think this thing now is: are you calling a bluff with a smoking gun, or are you calling this bluff just to call the bluff? Ultimately, I think LSU, they already had planned on the $54 million. I know there was plans of that, how they were going to pay it. It's just his monthly payment. It's like $800,000 a month. You can budget for that. That's not the end of the world, but it's a shit show. It's a shit show that just keeps getting put on a national stage. And look, will it affect LSU's hire going forward? I don't think the lawsuit plays a massive factor. It's not the first lawsuit a team's ever had. It's not the first one LSU's dealt with. I think the thing that plays more of a factor is the Verge Osbury thing. Because Verge Osbury still has not signed a contract to be the athletic director. It's known that he's the next athletic director, but LSU's not put out an official statement, and he hasn't signed a contract. So I think that affects who you're going to hire as a coach, because if I'm a coach, I go, who's my boss? Right? Like, I want to know, who am I working for? Who's the guy that I report to? Who's the guy that's making the decision to hire me? And is he the guy that makes the decision to fire me down the road? I don't want to get hired and then bring in some other guy that doesn't know me, didn't pick me, has no personal tie to my success or not. He's not the reason I'm here. But look, it's a shit show. I think LSU will get it. They'll get something resolved. I don't know when, what, how, whatever.
From the outside looking in, I think this affects the college football playoff song, by the way. So we'll be able to touch on that too. I just realized, I just turned my head and saw it. So I think that'll affect. I think from the outside looking in, I think all of this is going to affect who the next head coach of LSU is going to be. Simply because of the fact that they, like you said, they don't know who their boss is. They don't know if they got to answer to actually somebody that's sitting in there, or they got to deal with Jeff Landry or a board of regents or what it is. So it kind of makes the job unappealing. As big of a brand and great as an opportunity it is, to me, this makes that job step down a bit more than it was. To me, it was the number one coaching job in the nation of all the coaching jobs. With all this outside noise, it's like 3 or 4 to me right now, just because it's got so much outside drama that what big name is going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go jump into that shit show? Like, if we're being honest, like no matter how big the check is you're going to sign for me, this is, if things go south, this is something that most coaches are probably thinking, this is something that I might have to deal with in the long run. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah, I don't think the lawsuit's going to play a big factor. I don't think that's something. I think that's a big media story. I don't think it plays a factor because it doesn't affect the next coach. That's like, well, this is the buyout. Like, if Kelly wins in court, it's whatever it is. If they had cause, then it's like, well, then don't do anything for cause. If not, they pay him. The athletic director situation is the one that I do think plays a big factor. And LSU's kind of come out and said that, and I think it's known in the college football world of like, guys are not going to want to get into a situation that they do not know who their boss is. Now, if LSU comes out and goes, here's the statement, verges of we sign in for a 5-year athletic director deal, got it, whatever, that whole deal, that cleans up a lot of that and you could fix it. It's still early in the process. Yeah, it's a lot of bad publicity right now, but I think the alignment piece is the important one. I think the lawsuit's just a big media deal and it's just like gas on the flame, but I don't think it really affects who's going to want to coach at LSU. I think the who's making the decisions is a way bigger factor. How involved is Jeff Landry? How involved is Roos? Like, what does he bring to the table? Is Verge a puppet if he gets hired, or does he have autonomy to make decisions? I think that plays the bigger factor. I think the lawsuit's just a big story. I don't think it affects the coaching hire. I do think the alignment side does, though, and that's a shitty thing to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It just popped up. So Texas has moved up one spot. So they're at the 10th spot. Notre Dame's at 9, still ahead of them, which I don't like. I still don't agree with it. I'll fight to no end that they're ahead of Texas. I don't believe in any way they should be ahead of Texas, but it kind of is what it is. Let's touch on this up and coming week. We'll lead off. Let's lead off with Bama. I know Cole will give us his take on what's coming up next with Bama. But let's touch on a little bit. We got Bama OU. This will be a good game because OU has a good defense. They have a good running offense when Mateer runs the ball. So it's kind of interesting on how that's going to play out. I don't know which way to lean in this game because from the Texas game, when Arch had to throw the ball, he threw the ball very successful in the second half. But then we ran the ball very successful in the second half as well against OU. So I don't know how to look at this game. I don't know. I think it kind of depends on what type of material shows up. Because last year OU won the game with a running quarterback. Can we see that happen again? I don't know. What do you feel about it?
My gut tells me I think Alabama wins this game handily. Right? Like, I think the Tennessee game is kind of a false reality for OU. I think Tennessee's defense is atrocious, and I think they just caught Tennessee. I think this Alabama defense is going to be able to stop Mateer. Again, because Oklahoma feels like a one-trick pony, right? And last year, you're right, Jackson Arnold ran all over him, and OU was also dead, and Bama was in a weird spot where, like, that game kind of snuck up. Nobody was really watching that game. It was the weird. They're not sneaking up this year. I mean, this is a big-time game. Alabama knows it. OU knows it. I just think Alabama's more talented almost everywhere. And yeah, the OU's got a good defense. I don't know how they're going to match up against Bama's receiving core in the pass game threat that Simpson brings. And Alabama can't run the ball, so that's an issue. But ultimately, I think Bama's significantly better than OU. I think OU is one of these weird teams that you're looking at. They're kind of like last year's A&M to me, where you go like, yeah, you got some good wins and you're ranked high, but you're deeply flawed and it's gonna get exposed. Like you remember last year A&M, it was like terrific,
Yep.
and then it came off a cliff. I could see this thing for OU coming off a cliff at the end of this thing, and Venables losing his job. Like I still don't think his job is secure. I think, and that's just where I feel about OU. And I'm not a Texas fan, so like before all the comments are like
Yeah.
y'all just hate OU. I don't give a shit about OU. I actually hate Alabama. I just think Alabama's better than them.
Yeah. And before we jump into Texas, Georgia a little bit, we're going to touch on that. And of course, we're going to touch on LSU, Arkansas. I got a question for you that was asked to Sark during his press conference Monday. They asked him, "Are dynasties dead in college football currently?"
No.
And his answer was, "What makes a dynasty now? Is it national championships? Is it conference championships? What is it?" Because Georgia's played for how many conference championships consecutively? 4 or 5.
Four,
If
four,
maybe,
five.
yeah. Like, do you consider that they've made it to the playoffs pretty much every year for the past 5 to 6 years? Like, what
Come
do national titles make you a dynasty, or what's the standard now? The standard is going to have to change because of what college football is nowadays. So yeah, like is it dead? And what is the standards of dynasties now in college football? Is it national
No,
championships, or is it CFP appearances, or what is it?
I think it's
Because
somewhere in the
it's gonna be hard to run the table on national championships with the current model.
yes. I think you've got it. So I think no, I don't think they're dead, and I think it's going to be hard to kill them off. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's college football playoff appearances. It's Final Four, so getting to the semis. You also have to have championships in the mix. Like you can't be a dynasty if you don't have a title. Like I think we're witnessing one kind of getting going with Ohio State, and I know they've been really good for a long time, but like they look far and wide the best team again this year. So no, I don't think they're dead. I think it changes. I don't think you're going to get this Alabama run like they had where they won 5 or 6 in a 15-year period. But in that sense, yeah, it would be. But no, I don't think. I think you're still going to have these programs that no matter what happens are going to be top 5 teams in the country, such as Ohio State's doing it right now. Like they lost everything and then they rolled out and might be better. Like so, yeah. And I mean, what Georgia's doing, what Texas is kind of putting together, if they can finish out this year, like no. So like, yes, the traditional one is dead, but I do think there's a new model of it.
Gotcha, gotcha. Let's go ahead and touch on LSU's Arkansas game, the Golden Boot.
Weird kick.
It's gonna be a weird game. What time are y'all kicking off to?
11:45.
Oh, so y'all are the 11th. Dang, that is a weird
11,
kickoff.
11:45. I'm not even. It's on SEC Network. I didn't even know that was a time slot.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's gonna be I don't even know how to look at that game because Arkansas has showed like promise, and then they like shit the bed a lot. And then with who starts for LSU, is it gonna? That's the other question I had. I had it written down. Who's the quarterback going forward? Is it Nuss still, or is it Van Buren?
I think
Because
they're going to do.
honestly, when Nuss got benched, the way Frank Wilson talked to him, I was like, this kid might not see the field again for the rest of the year because the mistakes he was making.
I think they go with both going forward. This game is a weird one. I think LSU's defense is not going to have the same level of success. Taylor Green can run, but Arkansas's defense can't stop a nosebleed. They don't know how to win. The game's in Baton Rouge. I think LSU figures out a way to get it done, but I think it's an ugly, messy, like 27
Just
20,
sloppy win.
27-21. Like you play both quarterbacks and they both do things that make you feel good. Neither of them ever gets in a rhythm. I think LSU gets like a defensive touchdown or they run a kickback. Like I think it's going to be one that you win, but you leave going like, that didn't feel better.
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
Maybe 11:40.
I don't know which way to lean in this game. It's such a weird kickoff. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll touch on Texas, Georgia, a little bit. Me and Sav are going to do a breakdown on it, so I'll get more in depth with her on it. But I mean, hey, Texas has everything ahead of them. It's going to be tough though. It's on the road. It's in Athens. It's a big game. But I think the thing that's leaning towards Texas's way is, looks like we're gonna have all our receivers. The bye week came in at the best time because all of our guys are gonna come back rested. Looks like we're gonna have Taft back from injury. We're gonna have Wingo back from injury. We're gonna have McDonald back from injury. So it looks like they're all good to go. And then on paper, both teams have similar traits. Both quarterbacks are high profile quarterbacks. They're kind of coming into their own when they need to. Strong defenses. The coaches have a decade of experience in the game. Texas leads the series 4-3, but the past 2 times we've played them, we've lost. I mean, it's huge. I think with a healthy Mookie Taft, we don't see what happened with Vanderbilt to end the game. If Mookie was on the field, he's a quarterback at safety. He directs the defense of what they're going. I think we don't see that. So the game finishes stronger than it did because Texas looked unbelievably good through 3 quarters, and then that fourth quarter, the defense shit the bed. And we were both not excuses, but facts. Both safeties were out. We had all different cornerbacks weren't in the game either. All young cornerbacks, but hey, it still shouldn't have been that way. We're Texas, so we should step up and play even with the next man up. You got to make stops when you got to. I think the defense looks different. It's it's just I don't know which way to clearly say, hey, Texas is going to dominate. I don't see it's going to be a dominated game. It's going to be a close game throughout all four, I believe, and it's going to come down to who possesses the ball at last and who can get it done. Um, I got faith in Arch. Hopefully, he can keep it together. But Kirby's going to send the house on him. Kirby's going to keep him pressured every single chance he gets because he knows that's been the weakness of Arch. Now, did Texas correct that with the changes they did going into the Vanderbilt game? Maybe so, because he was only pressured 3 times that entire game. The least amount of pressures all year. So maybe that plays out for us. How do you feel about it?
I agree with you that I don't think either team dominates this game. I think it's going to come down to who can make plays when you have to make them. Gunner's probably been a little bit better at this point this year at making the have to have it plays. But again, Texas did look fantastic for 3.5 quarters against Vanderbilt. Can you finish? I think they can. I mean, they've shown it. I mean, they did win back-to-back overtime games. So like Texas has finished games. Maybe not in the light that people want to see it, but again, they are 3-0 in their last 3 games that have been tight. I think it's a really good matchup. I think it comes down to who can. I also think it comes down to like what coach is willing to make the game making decision. I think this thing's going to come down to like a 4th-and-1 where a coach has to make a decision that can either put the nail in the coffin or take a late lead, something of that nature. And I don't know where to lean. So far, Kirby's gotten the best of Sark, right? Like he's got him twice. I kind of lean Texas here. I just think Sark's kind of in his bag and Texas is cooking. And Georgia seems to be relatively flawed. And Kirby made a bad decision against Alabama where he could have tied the game and he went 4-on-4 and didn't get it. I kind of lean Texas. But again, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what Arch we get. Do we get the Arch that looked terrific against Vanderbilt, who's got some issues on defense? Do we get the late game version of Arch against Mississippi State, or do we get some of the earlier season Arch when pressure's in his face? I lean Texas because I think Arch is getting better, and I think Sark's going to call great plays, but wouldn't be stunned if it went Georgia's way. But I do think this is like a 7 to 3 point game, 10 at the most. And if it's 10, it's because somebody kicked a field goal with like a minute 20 left to put the game away. Like, I think this game is a 1 possession game late into the fourth quarter.
All right, and to close out, I'll ask you this question. And me and Cole talked about it on the phone for a good bit. And it's something I've been preaching for the past few weeks, and y'all have been against it. Y'all been saying, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't see how it happens. 9-3 SEC team getting in is probably gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think
it's all you hear the media talk about. Like it's all the media has been talking about, whether it be Texas, whether it be OU, whether it be some other team that ends up dropping 2 games that they shouldn't. I think a 9-3 SEC team that has ranked wins is going to sneak their way in. So if Texas loses to Georgia this week and then beats an undefeated A&M to end the year, from everything I'm hearing media wise, is that the committee is crediting teams that play big non-conference games. You can't can't knock Texas for a loss against Ohio State and then credit Ohio State beyond build because they play Texas opening week 1. Like it can't go both ways. Like you got to equal them out. How big is that non-conference game matter? And it's only a 7-point loss. Now Texas can't go in here and lose 35-10 to
yeah,
Georgia and expect to be getting it. That's not gonna happen. It's got to be close. It's got to be if it's a 9-3 team, it's gonna have to be a close third loss, not something that's blown out of the water. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like it's probably going to happen for someone, whether it be Texas, whether it possibly be OU or someone else. It looks like it's on the table for it to happen.
yeah. I mean,
How you
I
feel
don't
about
really. I think it's definitely on the table because I think the ACC is trending to where if Duke ends up winning the ACC, then the ACC may not get a team in, right? Because they may not have the highest ranked conference champion because the AAC or no, yeah, the American might end up having the highest ranked, and then I think it still would be a group of 5 after that. So I think it definitely could happen. I think Texas probably has the best odds to do it or the best chance if they were to drop this week because you still have the chance with the bounce back, the last taste in the committee's mouth. I don't think it could happen For instance, I think Texas could do it at 9-3 if they lost this week and beat A&M. I don't think they can do it if those games were flipped. So I think that's where you get into the question of like, when does the third loss happen for the SEC teams? Right? Like, could Tennessee still get in the fold? Right? Like,
Gotcha.
Bama can't lose 3 and do it because they'd have to lose 2 of their final 3. So that won't happen. Like, I think Texas is a team with the most likelihood to do it because I think, now look, OU could do it, right? OU also could do it if they lose a tight one. But again, the LSU OU game doesn't really have a lot of luster to it. So like they would have to throttle LSU at the back end and kind of make a statement. And again, same thing. Like nobody can have their third loss be 35-10 loss. They've got to be late in the fourth.
Have something close.
It's got to be tight games where
Here's
you
here's
look
my
like
other
you're
question.
elite. But
Okay, here's my next question to you. So, if you're going to award big, playing big non-conference games, do you fault big non-conference losses? That being said, because A&M opened, Alabama opened with FSU and took a huge loss to an unranked FSU team. How big does that weigh in? So say Alabama drops to Auburn and they go down to 2 losses. Say Texas runs the table and they have 2 losses. Who gets in? Who gets into the SEC championship? Alabama or Texas?
well, that goes down to
They
what
both have 2
tiebreak.
losses. Yeah, it goes down to tiebreaker and everything else. Like, but then who gets in? Because you got Texas that lost to a Florida team, and you got Alabama that lost to an Auburn team.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know how they.
what plays into
I
that
don't
fact?
know.
Like, it's
I don't know what the tiebreakers
and
are, but
there's
yeah,
a
I mean,
crazy scenario. There is a crazy scenario where somebody put it out on Twitter and I retweeted it where we can end up with like 5 or 6 teams with 2 losses and the SEC scratching on who's playing for what and what the committee's going to do.
yeah, because well, then it goes down.
I
I know
wish I
they
would
have
have
the
wrote it down because we could have just. I wish I would have wrote it down so we could have discussed it more. But it is a nightmare scenario for the SEC.
that looks like it possibly really could happen. I mean, I don't think. I think there's more losses to be had for some of these SEC teams that you maybe not expecting, right? Like again, I'm a believer that I think like OU's not going to be in the mix. I think they collapse down the stretch here, but yeah, like Texas could have this third. They could finish with 2 losses, but Georgia would have 2 losses, and that would put A&M with a loss, and then Bama. Like it, there's a lot of shit that could take place.
Because
I don't
Bama
know.
could. Because if we're being honest, Bama could slip up this weekend.
Yeah,
Like
true.
then what happens? Bama slips up this weekend. Then it's like here we
Very
go.
true.
There's nightmare scenarios for the conference that it's kind of like what the hell are we going to do?
Very true. I
But
mean, hey,
what I'll do is
good.
what I'll definitely do is I'll go relook that tweet and get it ready for Friday so we can discuss it and break it down a little bit more with Cole in here as well. But unless you got anything else, I think that's all we got, brother.
That's all I got.
The one thing I'm gonna ask you: name your starting quarterback. If you're the head coach of
Michael
LSU
Van
versus
Buren.
Arkansas, who's gonna be your starting quarterback?
Easy.
Got it.
Michael
That's what I
Van Buren.
wanted to hear. That's what I mean. Do you think that's like felt around the LSU fan base? No, they still leaning Nuss.
So
Damn, I
I,
can't
I
see.
think
I
I think the
just
fan base split
I
down the
get.
middle. But I don't know.
I get it. Like I've just from when he got in, like, and we said it in a text during the game when he got put in the game. It just looked different. The offense
Mhm.
looked different. The ball was coming out quicker, and it was like, okay, maybe they got something going here. And then it kind of never equaled out. But we'll see. We'll see. 3 games left, dude. 3 games left is nuts. Nuts. What
Sucks.
is what is
Sucks.
LSU's record currently?
But what's LSU's record?
Are y'all bowl eligible? Yeah.
We're 5-4, but we play Western Kentucky next week. So no, we're not technically bowl eligible,
So
but
yeah,
we will.
you will be. Yeah, got it. But all right, well, shit. We will definitely have to go live before the LSU kickoff because that's an interesting one for sure. But wow, fun with it. We had fun. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. This past week's live before kickoff was a good one. And then I passed the hell out at halftime. Not even gonna lie to you. I was out cold. But hey, we appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. We'll catch y'all on Friday on live. Yeah. Booty, you got anything else for him?
That's all I got. See y'all.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one. Hook 'em.
First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is first 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces.